is being portrayed now? Is it a different kind of bad? Is it a different kind of bad comedy? How about how magic is, like this event, there's a lot of advertising for movies that purport to show magic. How do you think about how magic is being portrayed in the media and in pop culture right
now? There's basically two schools of magic that are very, very clearly, they're clearly marked. And it's the David Blaine, and it's the Penn Teller, or it's the Creston, and it's the Amazing Randy, or it's the Houdini, and it's the everybody else at that time. I mean, there are some magicians who believe that it is very important to be dealing with the idea of trickery, and the idea of truth actually matters. Then there are other magicians who believe that somehow they're supposed to be doing tricks while being jacked in with the supernatural. And we've sat backstage with David Blaine, and we get along with very well. He's a nice guy. But we could not disagree with more. I mean, he thinks that part of his job is to be mysterious enough that, what, 3 stupid motherfuckers are going to think he's actually got powers? David Blaine is, who the fuck do you think you're kidding? Because he really isn't. I mean, are there people who actually believe that he has some sort of power? That Chris Angel is actually, there's something about him, he's able to do something. What? But that basic breakdown, I mean, if you watch some of the portrayal in movies and a lot of the stuff, there's always this kind of cheesy feeling that we're supposed to be, as magicians, letting people, helping them believe in magic and believe in the supernatural, and wouldn't that be wonderful? And that is so, it's such a horrible lie. It's so unpleasant. It insults the audience at such a deep level. We know when we're making believe. We know when we're pretending. We know it and we like it. And that's the basics of fantasy. It's not that you think you're actually acting out something. Robert De Niro's not supposed to think he's Travis Bickle. You're supposed to be making shit up, and you're supposed to know that and let the audience know that they know, that you know, that they know, that it's fucking bullshit. Basic contemporary physics, and that's just not true. I haven't seen that in this crowd. Well, there are people that think they can actually fly. They just want to pretend they can fly for 5 minutes.
You used a word there, bullshit. And there was a show of the same name. I want to ask you a couple of questions about that. A lot of the things I've heard on Bullshit kind of sound like things that I've heard over dinner discussions talk about food and associated with that. Did the show actually grow out of just your personal belief system, or is it? Was there anyone else asking you to do this, or did they kind of go? Were you following the path yourself, or was it someone trying to push you?
Oh yeah, everybody at television is going, would somebody please do a skeptic show? That's where the money is. No, we have, because of Amazing Randy, who is the, and to say it rather directly, if there were not Amazing Randy, there would not be Penn and Teller. He created us. And Randy, from the moment anybody would listen to us about doing a TV show, we would pitch doing a skeptical show. And at that time, when we were on Broadway and stuff, and, we were hanging out with you all the time, a lot of people wanted to listen to us about having a show. And we would go in and we would pitch. We're going to do a skeptical show. We'd just say there's no ESP and there's no fairies and there's no talk to the dead and this kind of stuff. And they would say, yeah, great, we're going to do that show, and you'll do a few shows like that, and then one of the shows, you'll show something real that you can't explain.
But there are angels, right?
Exactly. I mean, say, well, there's a lot of stuff you can't explain, but that doesn't mean it's supernatural. They go, well, you know, you do this, and the example, Jonathan Ross, who's a wonderful, a few people know, but a real comic guy, and also kind of analogous to David Letterman in London, in England. And Jonathan Ross said he was talking about doing a skeptical show with his wife, Jane, who wrote Kick-Ass, among a lot of other stuff. And he said, you know, we want to do a bunch of skeptical shows, and then it's like find a place where at night the toys really do come alive. That sums up every one of our pitch meetings. You know, we'll do a few of these that are skeptical, and then we'll find a place where at night the toys really come alive. And finally, Showtime decided to take a chance on what they consider to be counter-programming and to do a show that was skeptical. And I think what is kind of my strongest memory about it is we pitched Bullshit 2 weeks after 9/11, and there was the feeling that the country was supposed to try to get back to normal after the horrible tragedy. So we had these pitches set to go all around LA and do about 8 or 9 pitches for a skeptical show. And I remember, and I don't remember if it was the Showtime pitch, it would be a better story if it was, but all the pitches kind of run together. I remember saying to them that we were going to make a prediction, and it was not a prediction based on anything supernatural, but a prediction just based on what we knew about people, and that we would predict that John Edwards, within 4 months, would announce a show where he was going to speak to the dead of 9/11. And we said when he announces that, all of you will feel terrible and miserable because you helped push John Edwards on the American public. John Edward on the American public. And Teller and I will feel okay because at least we tried to give a skeptical point of view. And we thought when we gave him that speech that we were exaggerating in order to clarify. And sure enough, a few months later, you may not remember this, but a few months later, John Edward, the talking to the dead guy, actually announced that he was going to do a TV special where that fucking motherfucker was going to pretend to talk to the dead people who were killed in 9/11. And he then pulled it back because apparently the spirits told him that that was in dubious taste. But that was actually announced. So at a time when the media was reporting very, very much that America was supposed to be getting more spiritual, there were some people, and some people at Showtime, who decided that maybe it was a time for even more skepticism and even more of that, and they took a chance with Bullshit, and that was over 8 years ago, and we're now the longest running show in Showtime history.
Really strong is the fact that many people think that atheists and skeptics are closed-minded, but the truth is they're more open-minded. Extraordinary things require extraordinary proof. And the other thing that was evidence of that was when Einstein with the theory of relativity? Yeah. When he first proposed that, postulated that, a bunch of scientists said, oh, this is wrong, this doesn't work. And he kind of showed his work like we were supposed to do in our SATs. And they all said, oh, we're wrong, he's right. And being able to admit you're wrong with more information is one of the greatest things in the world, I personally think. And now you're 8 years in. Are there any shows that you kind of look back on and go, oh, maybe we should have, not taken that stance, or maybe we have new information.
We're right more than Einstein. Sure. The story that goes with that about Einstein was they once said to him, they're putting out a book called 100 Scientists Prove Einstein Wrong. And Einstein's response was, 1. It takes 1.